They thought their pranks were funny until I turned the tables with one they'd never forget. Back in the 90s, I was attending college in the Northeast United States. I was, and still am, the sort of person who likes to keep to themselves and get their work done, socialise a little and go back about my day. Somehow I ended up on a dorm floor with quite a few frat boys in training who thought they were pranksters and should be able to do whatever they wanted. Some of the pranks were harmless. Whipped cream or shaving cream in your hand as you were sleeping in the common area, plastic wrap across a doorframe, etc. Some were a little more invasive. Soup mix in the shower heads, chili oil mixed with shampoo, water balloons above the door, air horns under your chair, pubic hair in the ice cube trays, plastic wrap on the toilets, smoke/stink bombs thrown into rooms, fire extinguishers shot at people, water guns in the crotch when you were walking out to class. I warned folks to leave me out of their pranks because they would not like the outcome. I would win. Inevitably, despite my warning, they continued to involve me. I decided to end pranks. We had a hillside with a wooded area outside of our dorm building. Being the fall in Northeast United States, there was a significant growth of poison ivy. I had been a Boy Scout and knew that the toxin in poison ivy tends to be much more concentrated in the roots and the stems of the plant, and not just in the leaves. I put on gloves and set out to harvest as much of the roots and stems as I could. I then went to the campus chemistry lab and proceeded to grind the plant parts and press them to extract as much of the urushiol toxin from them as possible, earning a wonderful slurry. I then processed most of the liquid out of the slurry and ended up with a waxy paste. Stage 1 of my plan was complete. I waited for the right moment to set my prank in motion. Everyone left for a party, and I decided to start stage 2. I spread that paste on every door handle going into the restrooms on the floor. For one simple reason. Very few men in general, and none of these prankster frat boys, wash their hands before using the bathroom. This means that not only did their hands get a good dose of the urushiol toxin, but their other parts did as well. By the middle of the next week, everyone was convinced someone had spread an STD on our floor. A few guys lost their girlfriends since they were itching in places too. The health centre diagnosed it as poison ivy, and the dean of students called an all-floor meeting for us. Picture 21 young men standing around a common area, all itching and covered in pink calamine lotion, and one guy, me, looking like the cat who ate the canary. The dean of students explained that he was aware of the escalating pranks on our floor, and someone had taken it about 4 stages too far, and pranks needed to end. Pranks were over because someone had basically resorted to chemical warfare, and he was terrified of how far it would go. I was able to sleep well and had a great rest of the semester. As a chef for a major hotel chain, I made a deal with management, but when they broke it, I made sure my last dinner service would be unforgettable. I was a chef for a famous all-inclusive hotel chain. One day I was approached in the kitchen and told I needed to pack my bags and move 3,000 miles away to fix a labour issue at another hotel. I happily obliged, but negotiated a deal where I would have my choice of any hotel location after I successfully fixed the labour issue. I arrived at the new hotel and proceeded to diligently address the labour problem, while also taking over dinner service for 750 people. After a few months, the labour issue had been fixed and settled, and the kitchen was running as smoothly as I like. I asked my manager about when I could make the move to another hotel per our arrangement, and I was told since I had done such a good job, they were going to make me stay where I was for an indeterminate amount of time, i.e., forever. I let my management know this was unacceptable, and I demanded I be transferred in accordance with the original agreement that got me on a plan in the first place. I was told they would work on it. I gave them a 3-week window to address the issue, to give them time to discuss it with the head office, etc. I told them if they did not come through in 3 weeks, I would walk off the job and never look back. After 3 quiet weeks, I politely asked my manager if my transfer had come through, or at least was still in the works. It was not. The next morning, I gave the entire dinner staff the day off and told them not to answer any work calls. I set up the kitchen as if I were prepping dinner. Onions and herbs in hotel pans full of water with foil covers, garlic sizzling in pans, etc. I kept the charade up until around 4:30 p.m, at which time I left the kitchen, went to my room, picked up my bags and went to the lobby to wait for my ride. The manager came out freaked. There were 750 prepaid dinner reservations that night and no food, and told me if I walked out I would never work for the company again. I laughed, shook his hand and said goodbye. I never looked back and never talked to anyone there ever again. This was 20+ years ago. Plug. After 5 years of peace from my ex, he suddenly demanded I fix his insurance problem. And I gave him exactly what he asked for. So like the title says, I only gave him what he asked for, and it was definitely petty. So I was married to a very manly man for 17 years. I ended up doing all the admin tasks and mental load tasks. He had a money-earning job and I did everything else, even schedule this man's dental appointments and buy his parents' birthday cards. At first it was fine, but eventually not so much, and he refused to change, so things came to a head and ended. I'm sure after I left he was unpleasantly surprised to discover how much work his assistant did. Anyway, it's been 5 years. We have our own lives and I don't think about him much, and we certainly don't talk. But one day I start getting calls from him. He explains to me that he never removed me from his home and auto insurance and says, they won't remove you unless you call. He is pissy and keeps calling me and saying I have to do this right away and being very rude. It's been 5 years and now it's an emergency? Okay. He ends up calling me every day for a week and saying I've created a problem for him. I called the company and the woman on the phone says, no, we totally would have removed you. He never asked. I can see there is no record of him calling ever. Oh, really? She then says, you know, moving him from married to a single man, this is going to raise his rate considerably. Is he sure this is important to him? I laughed. Oh yes, very important. In fact, I haven't lived there for 5 years, so his current policy should really be backdated. She laughs and says, yes, he's now going to get a large bill. Not my problem anymore. Edit. Okay, since apparently this matters to people, I'm assuming the agent meant for the current contract/policy, which means just this year. I honestly didn't ask because I don't really care, and that wasn't why I called them. And yes, he is under 40, so I think maybe that affects it, but again, I didn't ask. I don't spend a lot of brainpower on this guy anymore. I do think people are probably right about him having a new girl that was upset, lol. Plug. I got revenge and I regret it. Throwaway because I'm ashamed. My ex broke up with me 2 months ago, but we continued to live together. I recently moved all my stuff out into another place where I'll be staying and continuing to pay the rent as to avoid breaking lease. However, I told her before I left that I'll be stopping by a certain time on the same day every week to pick up any mail until I can change my address. I stopped by yesterday for my first mail pickup and to grab my TV. I left. I grab my mail, then go to use the bathroom in the hallway before grabbing my TV when I see a used condom in the trash can. It hasn't even been a week since I moved out, and she's already having sex with someone in the apartment. I rushed out of the apartment without grabbing my TV. I tried letting go of the anger that I buried from the previous 2 months, but I couldn't. I went to bed furious. This morning, I text her to let her know I'll be stopping by to grab the TV on my break. Though I finally got it, I was so angry and didn't think, and dumped out the condoms, did not use my hands, onto her pillows and flipped them over so she wouldn't see. I don't feel better. Those emotions I suppressed for 2 months just came out, and I regret it deeply already. I blocked her number and everything else. I won't be going back to the apartment for my mail anymore. I really hope this doesn't come back to bite me, but I understand that karma will rightfully find a way. 5 seconds of hesitation will save you from a lifetime of regret. So please don't get revenge on your ex, and choose to be better than them.